What a freaking ending to this freaking show. I cannot wait to talk about it. Let's get to it. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm your host, Tommy B, and this is the Bailey Broadcast. So today we're going to be talking about spoilers of episode 6, the finale to The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This episode was phenomenal. It really was. I had to watch it a couple times because there was just so much for me to take in. The first time I watched it, I was like, well, do I like it more than the last episode? I wasn't too sure. But then after watching it again and getting the conclusion to so many storylines within this final episode was just really well done. We're going to get to it, talk about some highlights, and then going forward what to expect. So the episode starts off with a bang. Obviously, it's New York, nighttime. We got the GRC Council getting, evacuated out of that building. And it did not take long to find our heroes caught in the middle of everything. Falcon swoops into the building with the shield. And by the way, the cinematography, the slow motion, I thought with him throwing the shield into the building was super beautiful. I mean, great shot of him in the new costume, and then we see him in the building with the costume on, and it is so money. It is completely comic book accurate, and I just thought it looked great on him. It was a little bulky, I thought at first, but then I thought there's so much freaking Wakanda technology in that suit. It has, there's a lot to carry. So all in all, the suit just looked great on him, and we see a lot of differences between how Sam uses the shield compared to how Steve Rogers, even John Walker used the shield, right? Because he's got the wings, now vibranium wings, which we're going to talk about here in a second, to one of my favorite parts of that whole action scene. But it was truly a great start to the episode. A lot of action. Him taking on Batroc, the Leaper, was pretty cool. And what I loved is they stayed true to who Sam was, right? They could have easily said, okay, Sam's got the shield now, he's got a new suit. We're going to empower him even more than he really is, even though he doesn't have a super soldier serum, and make it easier for him to take on Batroc. They didn't do that. They stuck true to who Sam was. He's not a super soldier. He's just a guy who's got great experience with these wings, and now that he's been practicing with this shield, and he's also, very good in hand-to-hand combat, it was still impossible really for him to take on Batroc. He ended up having to, go to the main problem at hand, which was the super soldiers, getting away, and, the hostages that they took ultimately, that they didn't, they stuck true to who Sam was. And I thought that was, very well done by the writing team. So after that, they get into this great action sequence with Sam flying, following the helicopter and everything. And again, we just see a very unique way of Sam as Captain America. It was really kind of cool, when he's flying and he's planning out how to take out the pilot with the senator who has helicopter flying experience. And he's like, look, this is going to take proper timing. You're going to have to take the controls as soon as I take this guy out. And he literally, he goes sideways into the pilot, kind of does this flip, throwing the shield to break through. Shield comes back, and then he dives through the pilot, the helicopter, and takes the pilot out. That was super cool. I loved that shot. So also, just to backtrack a little bit, when he is in the building and the security guards are like, who are you? And he's like, I'm Captain America. That was a great moment because he finally has accepted his role, right? What he is destined to be. And I thought the line by the security guard was funny. He's like, I thought Steve Rogers was on the moon. We kind of go back to that first episode, which, maybe Steve Rogers is on the moon. We didn't get to see him in this, show at all. So maybe that's what they're hinting at. Maybe, and we're going to talk about this later, but maybe Steve Rogers will show up again and he'll, be actually on the moon. You never know. So anyways, the whole action sequence, once again, was really beautiful, super movie, kind of feeling. The cinematography was just very well done. And another favorite part of mine is when the helicopter that's being flown by the super soldier kind of almost crashes into the yellow helicopter, and Sam has to save the pilots. from crashing and dying, he uses Red Wing, which we get back into the fold, which was awesome to see. He saves one of the pilots, and then Sam has to save the other, which wasn't hard for him to do. Once they're back on the ground, though, they got the I think it was the actual helicopter coming down to crash down on them. And Sam uses his wings and the shield, both made out of vibranium, for it to bounce right off of them. That was so cool. I can't wait to see more of how they use Sam's new suit made out of vibranium and all the cool tricks that he can do with it. So I really liked that part in that shot. After that, though, after he saves the people in the helicopter and he gets caught back up, or we get caught back up with Bucky, which honestly, as you all know, Bucky's been my favorite part of this whole show. I was a little disappointed, I guess you could say, in the lack of attention, I guess you could say, or action for his character in this last episode, which I guess makes sense because ultimately it was, supposed to be about Sam and his transition as Captain America. And the things that Bucky did were really, pretty cool. When he does that, Mission Impossible Ethan Hunt move on the bike, and he goes flying forward to crash into the flag smasher. That was pretty cool. And then he gets a couple good punches in that makes the one guy go crashing back. And he has his hero moment. He saves the hostages from the burning truck. And I thought he really kind of redeemed himself, and I think he felt appreciated to the point where he wasn't being seen as this, horrible person with a horrible history as an assassin. He, at that point, is a hero, even though he should have been considered a hero already for helping out in Avengers Endgame. He fucking helped save the world, for crying out loud. So, that was just kind of a nice, kind of tip of the hat for Bucky as a character. So, and then, after that, we get John Walker coming back into the picture. Walmart Captain America himself with his Walmart shield made in his garage out of who knows what. And he's pissed, right? Obviously, he's finally getting to go face to face with Carly after she kills Lamar. And she says something that I just thought, ooh, really? Like, you're going to say that to him? He's like, I didn't mean to kill people who didn't matter. And he's like, you're telling me Lamar's life didn't matter? And it was an epic kind of battle between, him and Carly. And that whole moment between him and her where he has to decide, do I save the hostages in the truck that's about to fall to, their death, or do I go after Carly, was a great kind of moment for him to be the hero that I think we all wanted him to be and not go down that dark path. And he truly, surprised me, I think, in that moment. I thought, it could have easily gone the other way. Marvel could have easily, made that, the turning point for him going to the quote unquote dark side, but they didn't, so it's going to be interesting to see where his, future goes in the MCU. Obviously at the end, he is full on US agent in his comic book accurate, costume that Val gave him. And, Val's like, well, be in touch. And he's like, thanks, Val. And she's like, don't use that name. He's like, right. Sorry. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, is this the formation of the Thunderbolts? Is this the Dark Avengers? We really don't know yet. Only time will tell. But I think he's going to be staying around for a long time. And rightfully so. Wyatt Russell has done a great job portraying John Walker. And for everybody in this whole show, the acting has been truly phenomenal. I mean, I think the writing and the acting go hand in hand. But these actors have really taken that writing on paper and put it in front of the camera, and really they just did a great job at delivering on their moments. We get to that point once again where John makes the decision to save the hostages in the truck from falling, and as he's pulling it back up, he gets attacked by some flag smashers, and all of a sudden the truck is fallen, and all of a sudden it stops, right? And lo and behold, it's our new Captain America, there were so many shots, iconic, shots of our hero, the new Captain America, doing what he does in the new costume. It was very angelic in a way that he was holding the, truck up with the wings out, and then using his drones to help lift it back into a safe place. It was just a beautiful, beautiful shot. And then all of a sudden we go back to the ground where, Bucky is with all the Flag Smashers, and Bucky catches a rod or whatever that was thrown by Carly like it was nothing. And here comes Sam, who is now very comfortable with that shield, taking out all the guys. And he's just like, look, this has got to stop. You guys are going too far. Carly's willing to kill these hostages now. She's willing to die. And all of the people in her group are like, I don't think so, bitch. Like, this is not what we signed up for. We wanted to make a difference, and you're just going way too far. So they get a little help, though, from Batroc, who throws some smoke grenades in there to let them get away. But Sam's new suit has all the Wakandan tech, right? And he can track their movement, and they go, I don't know if it was underground or, where they ended up going. But John Walker and Bucky go one way to track a few Flag Smashers, and Sam goes the other way to find Carly. And it comes to that final point, which I think we all knew was coming, where Carly is not found by Sam at first, but by Sharon Carter. And we finally get that big reveal of her, Sharon Carter, being the power broker, which honestly, I think was the most obvious choice. I would have preferred, I guess, some other tie-in to another, project coming up, maybe the Mandarin in Shang-Chi, or, something, that was a little bit more connected and impactful towards the future. Granted, we see with the post-credit scene, she is now, pardoned by the U.S., and she's going to continue to be the power broker and steal all of the secrets and, make money. And she has truly changed her character, right? I mean, she was hurt so much that, she just felt so betrayed that she's not going back. And I think that's a great way for a lot of villains to be kind of developed, right? I think anytime villains are, initially betrayed by their government, by their friends, by, whatever, it makes it a little more impactful as an audience, because we can kind of relate in a way and understand why they're doing it, but just wish they wouldn't. And, it's going to be, interesting to see where Sharon Carter pops up next. I think it's kind of obvious that she's not going away anytime soon. I could totally see her being in Armor Wars with Don Cheadle as War Machine, and all that tech, kind of getting leaked out. I could totally see her as a power broker, being one of those people that, it's going to be Rhodey's problem from here on. So very exciting to see what happens next with her character. But, we get to a point again where there's a Mexican standoff, right? We have Batroc, who hears Carly and Sharon's conversation about, Sharon being the power broker. And now Batroc wants, 4 times the amount that, he was promised, or else he's going to give out her secret of being the power broker. And Sharon has to decide, do I keep my gun on Carly, or do I take out Batroc? And she ends up taking out Batroc. He's no more. And then Carly shoots Sharon, and then here comes Sam finally to the rescue, right? And there was this whole moment where it was kind of a tribute, I believe, with Steve and Bucky fighting in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, where at the end of that movie, Steve doesn't want to fight Bucky because they're friends, right? Well, here we are again, fast forward a little bit, and Sam doesn't want to fight Carly because there's no sense to it, She is so upset and lost in her ways that there's just no point. And I don't really think, even if he did fight back, he would have really had a chance. I mean, she is a super soldier, for crying out loud. So as we can almost expect, clear as day, I guess you could say, right before Carly, can kill Sam, Sharon Carter, shoots Carly, and that was the end of her. So the action again in this episode was truly, dynamic and really well, choreographed, and I was really blown away by just the amount of attention to detail, and the shots that were taken by the development crew and the directors of the episode. It truly felt like you were watching a movie. Every episode really felt like you were watching a movie. You get to that point where some of the best moments, I think, besides the action, come next when Sam is, carrying Carly down, like an angel almost for the whole world to see that she's, now dead. And he confronts the senator, right, and the council, and how, he just gives these great speeches. And I think that's the one difference. If I had to, nitpick between Steve Rogers and Sam Wilson, Steve obviously was a better, leader. Maybe not a better leader, but he was a better soldier. He was faster, stronger. He was the image that the United States wanted. Sam wasn't. But the one thing that Sam does better than Steve Rogers is communicate. This guy is so good at delivering messages, right? He gives this whole speech to the senators, to everybody watching, around the world, that we have to do better. No one ever stopped to ask why why Carly and her group were doing what they did. Why don't, the average person have a seat at the table to give, the answers to the problem? It's not simple. No. I mean, there's nothing simple about Sam being Captain America, right? I mean, he said it himself. He doesn't have blonde hair and blue eyes. You don't think, he's going to be hated for being a black man wearing the stars and stripes, but is that going to make him stop? No, because they have to, be a positive influence, not a dividing, influence, but a positive influence going forward. And he just had a great moment to really showcase himself as Captain America, the Captain America that we all need, right? I think at that moment, John Walker, who's watching, truly understands that he wasn't meant to be Captain America. This man, Sam Wilson, is the right choice. And I think, John kind of accepted that at that moment. And then Bucky at the same time, I think Bucky listening was truly moved by his words and do the right thing going forward, make the amends that, him and Sam talked about. And it was a very memorable moment, I think, for the whole series. I mean, there was great moments throughout the series, but I think that message that he gave, it might have been a little cheesy at times, yes, but I think it was still ultimately necessary to see him transition from Falcon to now Captain America, and what, he was afraid to be to who he should be. And it was a beautiful moment, I think. So we get a few more, closing, storylines throughout it. Bucky, gets that moment where we, kind of expected him to be, which was to go back to visit his old friend, Nori, the man whose son Bucky killed, and he tries to make amends, and it was very emotional. Sebastian Stan does a great job at it, and just letting the man know, the Winter Soldier killed your son, and I'm the Winter Soldier. And the old man asks, why did you do it? And he's like, I have no choice. And I loved how Marvel handled that situation. I think they could have gone a few ways. They could have went, oh, I forgive you, Bucky, and they hugged it out or whatever. But no, I liked how he ultimately just left the apartment, and he checks in on the old man with the girl he went on a date with at the restaurant, and he seemed to I guess in a way find peace, and she sees Bucky, and Bucky was able to move on, and he even goes back to the therapist and gives her his little book with all the names, and says, thanks, Doc, for all your help. And he is truly healed in my mind at this point now. He can finally move forward and live the life that he wants to live. And we see him back in Louisiana with Sam's friends and family, and he's kind of being Uncle Bucky in a way, where he's got all the kids hanging on his, vibranium arm, and he's just having a conversation, and no big deal. These kids weigh nothing. So it was a great moment. And then we see the resuming, or the rest of the Flag Smashers being taken off, and all of a sudden they're driving off and the truck explodes, and we pan around and we see Zemo's butler as the one who blows up the truck, and Zemo in the raft, even though it was a quick shot. We see his satisfaction in the news that he's listening to on the television. Obviously that was his goal, right? He completed his mission as far as he knows. I think there is that one flag smasher left that was, that fell into the river. That, I don't know if it was in that truck or not with everybody. So he might not have gotten rid of all the super soldiers. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, we have, John Walker and Bucky still out there. So who knows if Zemo will try to take them out as well. But a great kind of conclusion to Zemo as well. The most emotional scene, the best scene to really kind of conclude this first season on, was when Sam goes back to Isaiah Bradley. And Isaiah and him have a conversation about how no one's going to tell him he can't fight for what he believes in, for the country that he loves. And, they have this great interaction. And, Sam tells him, I got one thing to show you. And they go to the Captain America Memorial, museum. And they go around a corner and they see a whole section, devoted to Isaiah Bradley. And it was so emotional. I got choked up and started to tear up a little bit, to see 3 different generations there, and the way, Isaiah kind of, hugged, Sam to say thank you. It was a truly beautiful moment. And, what Sam says, now no one will ever forget your sacrifice. It was beautiful. And I just thought, I want more, right? I wanted to see more Isaiah Bradley after that. Like, that the old man who plays Isaiah Bradley was so great in every scene, in every episode that he was in. I was like, shoot, man, give me a freaking Isaiah Bradley series. Like, this kid or this guy was incredible. So the overall, conclusion to this first season, I thought was so well done. The growth from every character and the transition, for Sam to become Captain America from Falcon, what was so well handled. And the way Bucky, went from this, guy who had so much heartache and loss and PTSD, kind of coming full circle and really feeling at peace with who he is, was great. I thought that both of them together, Sam and Bucky, made such a great team that I can't wait for a second season. And yeah, there's going to be a second season. I mean, there's 2 clues, right? At the end of the episode, it goes from Falcon and the Winter Soldier to Captain America and the Winter Soldier. That's clue number 1. Clue number 2 is when Marvel submitted their shows for award season, they had WandaVision submitted as a limited series and Falcon and the Winter Soldier submitted as a drama series. So that tells you right there is going to be a second season. Now, we also found out through multiple reports that there is going to be a Captain America 4 as well. And also Chris Evans, Steve Rogers himself, is coming back to the MCU. But they didn't tie those 2 things together. We don't know if he's coming back for Captain America 4. I think that would be somewhat obvious, but it hasn't been confirmed yet. Other, theories are maybe he'll show up in Doctor Strange 2. We really don't know. So very exciting stuff. I'm all for it. I can't wait to see Sam Wilson again, and just the new Captain America, right? I mean, again, him in that suit, man, it was so comic book accurate. I just loved it. And just the overall, story of this first season was great. I think they could have done a better job at a few things. The Flag Smashers, the group, what they stood for, I totally was behind. I think they could have developed some more background for, the Flag Smashers and Carly, and why they were so heartbroken. I mean, we get a little bit of that, but I think it would have made it, a little more sad, and there would have been a more connected emotion behind it when she died, other than, oh man, that sucks. I think there was a few things that, they could have done better, and I think the Flag Smasher group was definitely one of them. All in all, this season was great. I think the Flag Smashers, even though, yeah, I feel like they could have, developed that backstory a little bit more, I think it was the right catalyst for the story to go with, for Sam to go from Falcon to the Winners to Captain America. And I don't know what the second season is going to be about, but I know I'll be right there day 1 watching it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this series as much as I did. Go ahead and leave your comments down below. Tell me what you thought of the series. What was your favorite part? Who was your favorite character? Oh, by the way, let's get to Lost in Imagination. What was lost in translation in this episode for me was all about acceptance and being grateful for the opportunity given to you, right? Sam needed to accept who he needed to become. He had to accept that he was the right person to be Captain America, to take that shield. And look at what happened, right? He is making a difference by trying to open the eyes of the people who make the actual decisions for the rest of the world. You know, this GRC, he's trying to tell them, you got to do a better job, Senator. And it was a great moment for us to see Sam accept his new role. Same as John Walker, he has to accept his new role as well. He knows that he's not the right man to be Captain America. It was kind of weird, like, dude, weren't you just, punished by the government for being, Captain America? You were kind of pardoned in your own way. Like, what are you doing here? Like, I thought that was kind of funny how all of a sudden the government's like, oh, hey, he's back, he's dressed up. Like, no big deal. I mean, thank you, I guess. You did kill that guy and you're not supposed to be doing this, but hey, whatever. That doesn't mean that he, has no place in this world. And we see Val, give him that new role as the U.S. agent. And whether they're going to be doing good things or bad things, I think ultimately he can accept that he was just never the right man to be Captain America. And then Bucky, accepting, his history and his past and all the mistakes that he's done and moving forward by doing the amends the right way and, forgiving himself, at the same time. So I think in our world, acceptance is something that, it really depends on, what you're talking about. Are you accepting, the career choice that you feel like you want to do, or are you just laying down? Are you accepting the man that you want to be, or can you be more? I think understanding our role in our own lives and how we want to be is vital every day. We should always look at ourselves and try to ask, do we accept the person in the mirror looking back at us? Do we accept the person that I see in the mirror and everything he stands for, the actions he takes? Can I do better? And I think that is a great message for all of us to try to take from this show and this episode. So I hope that you learned something from our Lost in Translation segments, and thank you so much again for watching, and we will see you next time on the Bailey Broadcast. Take care.